Hi, welcome to Mama Mandala. I'm Hagar. I'm excited to have you here. A moment with you, a moment with the moon. It's a new moon in the sign of Libra. It's also a solar eclipse, and it's Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. So today is the eve of the Jewish New Year. So it's a big day if you choose to make it one. And if you want to collaborate with us with those energies, they are available, even if it's just in the realm of our imagination. So Libra as an archetype is in search for balance. A lot of people associate Libra with the state of balance, but in fact, as an archetype, it's the wavering and the searching and the looking and the trying to find a way to make things even. So it's the ability to turn toward one side and listen to what that side has to say, to that point of view, to that perspective, and then turning ourselves to the other side and hearing there what there is what there is to hear, what there is to listen to. It's the ability to keep turning back and forth. It has a shadow because if you know a Libra in your life, you know that if if they kind of follow the archetype, that in the character of Libra there is a lack of decisiveness. So sometimes there is, what is your actual opinion? What do you actually think? Right? You can ask that question. What do you actually take? What do you actually believe in? What do you actually stand for? Because Libra moves this way and that way and wants to hear this and wants to hear that and weigh all the options. You know, the symbol of Libra is the scales. So they stand as the Lady of Justice, right? As this symbol of the ability to weigh all the sides, to hear all the stories, so that we can actually develop the ability to decide what is true, what is right, what is correct. And it takes a lot of wavering, and wavering, in fact, in some ways, we often look at wavering and at indecision as a weakness, and that's okay. We can see it that way too. There's a reason why we look at it that way, but there's also great strength that is required if we are to listen to more than what we already believe in. If we are to say, wow, okay, well, what is this, what is the other side saying? What are the two sides? Maybe I'm not on one side or the other and I'm trying to decide, right? That's kind of like that Libra. I'm not on this side, I'm not on that side. What is this saying? What are they saying? It's the ability to listen and to observe and absorb all the pieces of information requires great strength. And we think of a centeredness as a place that is resolved, right? Like that state of balance, of midline, of holding this middle ground. But the middle is one of movement. Symbolically, we can think of Ganesha, the elephant-headed god from the Hindu tradition. He has a trunk, right? He has an elephant's head. He has a trunk, and the trunk is the ability to move, the ability to weigh things from this angle and that angle. And the trunk is also a representation of his mother, the goddess Shakti, who is also Kundalini. So the trunk is the serpent, the snake, who has a vision that moves from this angle to that angle, from this side to that side, right? We, as a serpent's gaze, there's a term in Sanskrit, sarpa drishti, which means the serpent's gaze, the serpent's vision. It's the ability to look at things from different angles, it's not that we're not stable in our understanding and in our decision, although in the shadow of Libra, there is an indecision and there is a little bit like that wavering isn't stable. But movement gives us stability. If we think of a bridge cannot be stable if it doesn't have flex in it. If you think of really tall buildings, they cannot be stable, if there's no movement of them in them. What makes a tree stable and strong is its ability to move with the winds. In fact, in order for a tree to survive and thrive, they actually need sometimes harsh conditions, because the harsh conditions, the storms that shakes them and moves them and ends up twisting and turning their trunks and their branches in different directions, is that which gives them strength. If you think of the root system of a tree, it's entangled, it's twisted, it's turning, it's moving in different directions all at once, and it connects and communicates with other systems. So we tend to think of stability in a very straight line kind of a way, when in fact stability and strength, it comes through us and to us, and we come to it through movement, right? Through some wavering. And so, and I think, I don't know, maybe this will touch you in a sensitive place, and you will allow it in, and maybe it'll agitate you. Either way, whatever it does for you, maybe it won't do anything for you. Whatever it does for you is an opportunity to interact with it. But I think humanity is kind of obsessed with certainty. We want somebody to give us the answers. This is why we have religions, right? Because people are searching for an answer. People invent these stories so that they have an answer to their questions, so that they have something they can lean into or lean on, and it will carry them in the difficult places where there's no clear answer. People want clarity. We search often for a leader to kind of tell us what to do. But I think that this causes, of course we want some stability, but I think that our obsession as a species with certainty is also causing a lot of issues, a lot of harm, a lot of confrontation and conflict within us, and a lot of harm toward other species. And what if our strength actually came, like the deep kind of strength, was actually our ability to question, to turn toward this way and hear that, to turn in that direction and listen to what comes from there, to not be so fast to make a decision about this is what this is what that is, and that is it. Now, of course, there are things you're going to look at and it's going to be clear. This is this and that's it, right? Of course. But there is something in that Libra's wavering that invites us into a different kind of strength. And Libra, if you look at the whole zodiac wheel, and I'm not an astrologer, by the way, at all. I'm more of a mythologist. I like to look at it from a mythopoetic, archetypal kind of a perspective. But in the wheel of astrology, Libra shifts us into the direction of the collective. It sort of sums up the work of the individual in the world with Virgo, and Libra takes us into the process of becoming a part of something greater. Now, we often think about it this way, that the turning toward the collective comes after turning inside, listening to ourselves, hearing our own, I'm going to put it in quote, hearing our own truth, because I think that causes a lot of problems also, especially in the world of today, where what is truth? What are the facts? It's hard to tell, right? We don't know what to turn toward to actually trust. It's hard to find trustworthy sources. So we have to actually, in that Libra kind of fashion, turn in many directions and listen to as much as we can in order to sift through the information that is coming at us. But there is something really interesting in the Hindu text, the Bhagavad Gita, that comes from the Mahabharata, which is this great epic text, written, or not written, but collected over about 800 years, somewhere between the 400 BCE and 400 CE, somewhere around there, somewhere between there. The Bhagavad Gita is fashioned, this great text that is thought of by many as the kind of like the Bible of yoga, if you will. And it's a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, and they are on the battlefield, and in this great moment right before the battle begins, Arjuna, who is the great warrior and one of the heroes of this story, drops his bow and arrow to the ground, and he says, I don't want to fight, I can't do this, right? Because he looks at the other side and he sees people that he loves, people he grew up with, because it's a fight within a family, within there are people on both sides who are close to each other, who have been each other's teachers and friends and allies, and now they stand in the battlefield as enemies. So, and maybe this rings a bell, and maybe that sounds familiar, and maybe you feel that on some level, and in one way or another in your life, on the political point of view, with what's going on in the Middle East. Maybe you find yourself in conflict and in a battle with people you thought were your allies, always thought there were people you could rely on, and you find that there's a lot of disagreement. Right here we are again with Libra as an archetype that wants to turn away from conflict. We find ourselves with a metaphor of conflict. So Krishna, who is an avatar of Vishnu, who is in the story a great friend to Arjuna, his charioteer, reveals himself in this moment, in that space between the armies, in that space between, again, in that midline, which is a wavering experience rather than a stable one kind of clear resolution. In that midline between the armies, Krishna and Arjuna are having this great conversation, and the entire beginning, the first part, one could even say a few chapters, Krishna turns Arjuna toward the collective. He says, before you turn toward what you want and what's important to you, and this is so counterintuitive for us Westerners. If you're a Westerner and listening to this is so counterculture. But Krishna invites Arjuna, first and foremost, not invite, kind of like pokes him and kind of in a way kind of slaps him, says like, pick up your bow and arrow. What are you talking about? You can't fight. If you don't fight, you're the greatest warrior. If you don't come into this battle, I get that you don't want to. I get that you don't want to go to war. But if you don't show up into this great battlefield of life and of in the text, it's dharma. It's that which is the law. It's fighting for what's right, for what's correct, for the law, for justice. And then we can really then take the Libra perspective and question that too, because what is justice, right? For me, I know very clearly that I'm against oppression. And I want everybody to have a fair chance. And I want equality. And I want liberty and dignity for everyone. In this case, as we look at the world's stage, I want Israelis and Palestinians to live in peace and in justice, and for all of them to have the ability for thriving and for living with security, and with, again, that word dignity. I both deserve that. All of us deserve that. Not and this is where Libra can get very helpful, because we're so fast to take sides. And Libra, the shadow of it is like, take a take a stance already. Stand for something. Stand for what's right. But Libra says, hold on, I don't know what's right, because these people are saying this and these people are saying that, and I want to listen to both, to all, right? And there's something to that. So back to the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, before you go inside to listen to what's right and what's true and what's true for you, before you listen to your own desires, before you say, oh, I don't want to fight, I'm a pacifist now, I'm the greatest warrior, but I'm putting down my bow and arrow. Krishna says, if you put your bow and arrow down, your brothers, your wife, your wives, your children, your everybody on your side is going to die, because you are a necessary piece in this battle. You have to pick up your bow and arrow and step up. Stop whining, stop complaining, and take action. This is kind of in a nutshell what the text is about, but then there's so much in the text. It's very detailed and full of pieces of wisdom. But what Krishna does is he turns Arjuna's perspective toward the collective, toward what his role in society is, rather than toward what he wants to do as an individual. Again, so not what we're used to in Western culture. We begin by what about beginning in the collective? Krishna says, like this is a text from India. Turn toward what your role is in the world. Then, once you establish a relationship with Dharma, again, with the law, with steadfastness, with what's right, again, we're in that conversation, with what is necessary, what's going to take care of everybody. And of course it's complicated to take care of everybody, because we can't do it. Like, this is why Libra is going to be so frustrated, because you can create that evenness and then something's going to tip over and take us in another direction, right? Because it's serpentine. But before you turn toward what is comfortable for you and what your truth is, you have to turn toward the world. And I don't think we need to say, oh, that's what I have to do, that's the right way of thinking about it. Well, how did I not think about it before? Now I'm always going to turn toward my service to others and then show up for myself. It's not what I'm suggesting here. I'm suggesting we teach ourselves to do both. I'm suggesting we receive the medicine of Libra, which is a little bit of a wavering, a little bit less resolute, a little bit less certainty, and allow ourselves to explore both. Allow ourselves to have a conversation of yes and, both and. Allow ourselves to listen to the possibilities that can arise from turning first toward my family and what is needed from me, and then toward what I want and what I need. And also, in other times, in other cases, first and foremost, take care of yourself and then turn towards society. We probably need to do both, and sometimes this, sometimes that. It's not a clear answer. And this is, for me, for today, for this day and age, for this moment in history, a great lesson that we can receive from the Libra archetype. Bring a little less certainty and grow your strength through movement, through wavering, through listening to this and to that, through being a bit more open and receptive in the question, to search a little bit less for the certainty and the clarity, or maybe we can search for it, but understand that whenever we arrive in it, how do we open up the door toward continuous movement? Because the problem with certainty is when we arrive in it, we become rigid. That's where authoritarianism comes from. That's where leaders like Netanyahu in Israel and Trump here in the US and Hamas and the Islamic Republic of Iran, all of the areas you can see that where there's actual authoritarianism or an attempt to create authoritarianism. When a leader says, I'm the only one who can resolve this, I'm the only one who can do this, no. Whenever we arrive in certainty, we need to break it open and bring in a questioning, bring in the possibility of what more, what else, how else we can grow the conversation rather than end it. Because with an answer, if the conversation ends, then what are we going to keep learning? And who are we going to oppress when the answer is so clear? Okay, that's very light and fluffy for today. Just something simple to think about. I hope this is thought-provoking and interesting for you. If you are celebrating Rosh Hashanah, if it's a new year, the Jewish New Year, I know I am. I'm gonna make dinner for friends and family, and I'm away from my family of origin, so I am missing them and loving them. And so if you are a Jewish person on this day, one of the traditions is to open up a pomegranate and to eat the seeds, because the pomegranate may seem like something that is whole, but it breaks open, and as it breaks open, there are many seeds. So may we break open our righteousness and our certainty and plant the seeds of more possibility, of listening to more than our belief, and of growing the possibility of peace through turning ourselves away from demonizing one another and toward listening to one another that may provoke questioning of oneself. And may that be the kind of questioning that allows for growth and possibilities, for new pomegranate trees to grow. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful you joined me for this. And if you like the mythopoetic, and if you like the idea of breaking open and moving away from certainty, but you're also in search, because I know that I'm constantly in the work of finding a way to create confidence in myself and in my life, through and within this perspective of less sureness, of more questioning, then I would love to invite you for this course, this 6 weeks journey with teachings and tools, somatic cues that are going to help you establish both a groundedness and a confidence, and open up more space for pleasure and for joy in your life. And in the midst of it, and through the process of also breaking down patterns and opening up new ways. So it's gonna shatter us and bring us into cohesion simultaneously, the way that the universe does. So this course is called Bond with Your Life. It's a journey with the bandhas, which is a teaching and a practice, 3 in fact, and we're breaking down into 6 from the yoga tradition. It's an educational journey and an experiential process. It's a community building effort. It's kind of like an inner quest and a celebration of life and an in-depth transformative process. So if you are interested in that kind of thing, I'm gonna leave a link for you in the description of the video. It's called Bond with Your Life again. All the details are on mamamandala.com. And I would love for you to join. Check out all the details. Sign up for our newsletter. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And I will also leave for you a link for a blog piece about this new moon and the archetype of Libra. Okay? Can't wait to do more with you. This was a pleasure. Happy New Year, as happy as it can be in conditions that we are facing right now in the world. So may it be meaningful, may it be sweet like apple and honey, and may we taste that bittersweet flavor of pomegranate juice that allows us to break open into more possibilities. Mwah. Have a blessed new moon.